Before we begin, I just want to give a huge shout out to Great Lakes Disc. If you haven't tried them out yet, you really have to. Great customer service, fast shipping, and a huge inventory of discs and accessories. They have everything that you need to take your disc golf game to the next level. Go check them out. And I have to also thank them for once again getting these unique discs into our hands, as we are today going to look at the sole in the ESP FLX plastic. And boy, do these things feel absolutely amazing. If you're a sole thrower, you are going to absolutely love this plastic combination. When I got my hands on the ESP FLX sole, the first thing that I noticed is that it's a lot flatter when compared to other plastics, particularly against the stock Z, which comes with a little bit more dome to extremely pop-topped. And for those of you wondering just how flexible the ESP FLX is, yeah, this thing is really gummy. I love gummy discs, so this is right at home for me. This is definitely a disc that I'm going to keep in my bag for those winter rounds. So let's go ahead and check out how the ESP FLX sole flies. The first thing that I noticed is that it seemed to hold a hyzer better. Now that's not to say that it wasn't understable. As you can see, when thrown still on a slight hyzer, it still flipped up and it held that all the way to the ground. And even when thrown flat, it's going to hold that turn all the way to the ground. But it just seems to have almost a little bit better late stability to it. So if you put some air under it, even when thrown on a slight ante to flat, if you throw it high, get air under it, it's going to have a little bit more bite to it at the very end of the flight that I didn't really notice with other plastic types of the sole. But even though the end of the flight might have just a little teensy bit more bite to it, in the early and mid part of the flight, it is still just as understable, just as workable as both the Z and the ESP Glow run of the sole from last year, which we'll see a comparison of all three coming up shortly. And in this ESP FLX plastic, it doesn't lose any of its amazing glide, and again, paired up with how understable in the early flight it is, if you're in the woods and you're pinched up against something and you can't throw it on full power, but you still need to get good distance, grab the sole, because you can throw this thing in a patent pending stance where you can't get any kind of run up, and it's not going to affect the distance of the flight very much. You're just going to let that glide kick in, let that understability kick in, and it's just going to completely carry on a perfect straight line. I can't stress enough just how great the sole is, particularly for wooded courses. If you play in a lot of wooded courses, you really have to grab this disc. It is an absolute game changer. So now we're taking a look at how the ESP FLX, the Stock Z, and last year's Great Lakes disc run of the ESP Glow sole, how all of those compare. And honestly, that Stock Z and Glow ESP were thrown on a more hyzer than the ESP FLX was, and you can still see how much more turn those had than the ESP FLX. Again, it thrown on a hyzer, flipped up to flat, gets a little bit of turn, but again, give it some height, has a little bit of fight back, but with thrown almost with a more exaggerated hyzer line, the Stock Z just flips up, and as it starts to turn, it just wants nothing about coming back. It is just absolutely gone, versus the Glow ESP is kind of right in the middle. You can see if thrown a little higher, it may wanted to have leveled itself out, but still very understable. I really think that these ESP FLX soles, if you're a big thrower, or even if you have a slower arm and you just need something with just a little bit more fight at the very end, you really need to get your hands on one of these. And Great Lakes Discs, good news, still have a lot of them in stock, so go to greatlakesdisc.com and get yours today. Till next time, everyone, keep banging them chains.